Alright, I'm just gonna I like stop the last video somewhere ended around where Rey and the Falcon or whatever is coming out and just shooting people in TIE fighters or whatever. I'm just gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna try to unwrap it up within 20 minutes of this part. I understand the video is kind of long on the first part, but just real quickly, I'm just gonna try to wrap up the rest of the video and some of the rest of the thoughts on some of the actors that I thought in the video, or not the actors, but the characters, and then of course like maybe some of the acting, because that's kind of important when you look at a film. But so yeah, the Falcon is out there and it's shooting with Rey on it somehow. They don't explain it, and then you have Luke Skywalker step out, like he's somehow in the base, and you don't really see it. And then it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. He's like freshened up. He like got his beard was all peppered, and now it's all like groomed, and he got like the just for men going. So like I was thinking he's shaved and he's got new robes on. So I was like, oh, okay, so this is new and refreshing. Like I was really excited. I was like, fuck yeah, Luke Skywalker's here. He's gonna save people, and he's like fucking come back, and maybe the film isn't bad anymore. Like I'm over here like watching it, and I'm just like, oh, like there's actually something good in this movie. Luke Skywalker's gonna use a lightsaber. He's gonna stop people. He's gonna save people, and like this movie will be redeemed because Luke Skywalker will save people, and he's not gonna die. And then like he goes out and he like I didn't notice it until the reviews later, but he's like stepping in the salt and like there's no footprints, so I didn't really catch on to it at that point. But then I started catching on to like how is he having the blue lightsaber? The blue lightsaber that was just exploded between. But I didn't. Maybe okay, so maybe it was a different like lightsaber. Okay, maybe it was a different lightsaber, but the other lightsaber that he had was green, so why was he using a blue lightsaber? So, one, the lightsaber is exploded, the other one is, it should have been green. So then it was like, oh, so maybe it's not really him there because he's dodging everything? Like, why is he dodging everything? And before the lightsaber even ignites, he has all the AT-ST shit shoot at him, and I was like, that is fucking cool, because in the old lore, the non-canon lore, he was super powerful and could like literally use the Force and control where Star Destroyers could be. Yeah, that was that strong at one point. So I was like, oh, this might be really cool. But then he does this little like brush off effect, and I'm like, that is something that Luke Skywalker would never do. Again, out of character, but not totally fucked up like the whole like I'm gonna kill my my nephew shit. So that was kind of like, all right, I can ignore that part a little bit. But then you realize that like Kylo goes down and like has a lightsaber fight, and he just dodges everything, and next thing you know, he's like takes a lightsaber and he's like, I will be with you forever. And then like they go back to the planet, and he's like an apparition. He's not even real because the lightsaber goes through him, and it's like a Force ghost thing. And he's so strong that he's able to Force ghost himself over to another planet like light years away, and then he just dies, and it's like, what? He dies as they bring him back as a pseudo villain to make a villain, and they kill him off in the weirdest, fucked up most way possible, and they have the two sons like they did on Tatooine. They're supposed to make it depressing. It's like, this is not Luke Skywalker. This is not Luke Skywalker at all. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And for all I know is I don't even accept that as canon, that part. It makes no dumb, it's so dumb. He uses so much strength, and yet like Snoke is over there able to bridge minds between the galaxy, and he's not dead like because of the bridging of the minds. He just dies from a lightsaber by his fucking hand. Which Luke, of course, wouldn't die from because he has too much common sense, and of course Snoke shouldn't have died from either. So I'm thinking like, what the fuck was that? So then you got all these people trying to like leave, and apparently the dogs, or these little freaking animals, find a way out because they're all natural, and they're all running out, and there's like boulders blocking the way, and like this half of the side of the mountain basically that Rey is just magically able to use the Force and lift all these boulders with like a day's training of using the Force. And like Luke Skywalker struggled to lift the X-Wing, which was like a lot like heavier, which, well, not the X-Wing, but the boulders were a lot heavier and there's more of them. and they were just like floating everywhere, and they're just like rescued by Rey and the Millennium Falcon because they saw heat signatures, and there was only like 20 people left in the whole Resistance, and Leia's alive still, and they fly off, and Kylo it's just like, what the fuck, and Kylo's still alive, and like I'm so shocked. I'm just Luke Skywalker, or Mark Hamill, gave it his all. He did very good acting. He made Luke Skywalker come to life, despite the horrible writing by Rian Johnson. And Rian Johnson, by the way, Rian Johnson is just some fucking guy. He has like directed like 3 films, and like everyone's like praising, oh my god, he was so good in Looper and this and this. I was like, I watched Looper. I didn't actually find it that great. I actually found it was just like, oh, it's okay. It seemed like 13 Monkeys or something. Like, it wasn't like some amazing thing, and he's just some guy, and he not just wrote this film, he directed it, and it's horrible. And Kathleen Kennedy's like overseeing him, and like, you know, they're supposed to like run by things to each other and like just let him do whatever the fuck he wanted to do and like down the shitter. Now, my idea that could totally rectify Star Wars, and I think most fans would like totally jump on board with, is that instead of like Episode 8, erasing Episode 8, what they could do, and I hope J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy and Disney is listening to this because it's a real good theory. This is that Luke Skywalker looked into the mind of Rey right after the whole, during the lightsaber scene, and looked into her mind, and that's what you and everything in Episode 8 is in Rey's mind. And that's why it's all fucked up, because Rey's fucking stupid. That's a real theory. I think it'd be really fucking smart if they did that. And if they didn't do that, and if they didn't do that, or throw that movie out the shitter, and just completely disregard it, I will not be watching Star Wars anymore. I don't know where you go with Episode 9. There's nothing to run into. There's no cliffhanger in any sort of way. The movie's bad. I don't like Rey. Rey is the biggest Mary Sue, and I didn't even know what Mary Sue was until this movie because it's so bad. I don't like Rey. Like, even Superman, how like powerful Superman is, I can relate to him because he had struggled, he had loss. Rey is smarter than Luke Skywalker when she needs to be. She is more powerful than anyone else, more powerful than Luke Skywalker, more powerful than anyone that has to train and struggle and achieve anything. She doesn't lose anything. She doesn't have loss. She loses people that she's known for a few days, like Han Solo. She knew for like a day or two. She is told her parents are nothing when they aren't anything. If they're not anything to begin with, and it was hyped up, then they shouldn't really lose anything because she never knew them. So that's not loss. And like, I don't care for Finn anymore. Finn used to be this like brash guy, and now he's just like whatever. Like he's the character that should have died and didn't. I wish Poe was better and was less comical in the stupidest of ways. Leia could be dead. I'm glad Holden is gone because her character was useless and full of drama. BB-8 can go down the shitter because R2-D2, I want to see more of him because he was like, at least it was thoughtful what he did. Even in the prequels, it was more like understandable, but like BB-8, it's just like, I don't know, it's just marketing. And then Rose could die, I'm okay with that. Hux, Kylo, I would love if Kylo was just consistent with his character more instead of all over the place. And yeah, and like Luke Skywalker's not dead, and it would be interesting if Snoke wasn't dead either. But they need to explain things, and like Luke's acting is good, Adam Driver's acting is good, who's Kylo. I think Snoke's acting is good. I even think DJ's acting is okay, like fair. Daisy Ridley, her acting's horrible. I just think this movie's really bad. I've been a fan of Star Wars my entire life, from like 5 or 6 years old. I've been watching Star Wars movies ever since like we could rent them out of the library. Almost every other weekend I probably watch a Star Wars film for a couple of years. And then it's just like, Why are they destroying this? Like, they're shitting on all the entire fan base that has ever loved the series, and they're trying. It's like the NFL players kneeling. Oh, we're gonna kneel and like have our fans burn the jerseys and not show up, and like, okay. I mean, it's not. It's worse than the kneeling thing, but and less makes less sense. But my point is that I have loved Star Wars. I have loved the Star Wars games. I have loved Lucasfilm. I mean, I didn't really care for the prequels. The acting was horrible, but at least it was very consistent with the story. Holy shit! Like, the prequels look amazing compared to these films. I don't consider anything after the Last Jedi canon. Not the Last Jedi. I'm sorry. The the Return of the Jedi, and it just disappoints me. It's like, why should we watch the Han Solo film now? Why should we trust anything that Disney says? They're all about the money. They're all about marketing. They're not about the characters. They're not about development. They're not about thinking rightful. It's a total like social justice warrior movie thing where all the feminine people look good and all the guys look bad in like all aspects. The bad guys look bad. The good guys look. The good male actors look bad. The evil male actors look bad, like bumbling idiots. All the female roles, except for like maybe Captain Phasma, look good. And it just blows my mind. It's like, wow, that's so it's so clear to me what their goals are. They're trying to make it a political thing when it was never a political thing in Star Wars. And it's just it's horrible. And I have a hard time with this because I don't want to make this film. It was bad, but yeah, I think if Luke was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be in Rey's mind, and that's what we saw, and that's what Episode 8 was, because none of it makes sense, and like Snoke would still be alive, Luke would still be alive, Rey wouldn't be trained improperly because she would be trained smartly because it would be what Rey thought the Force was, like touching the stick. The touching the stick thing was funny. But again, not really what Star Wars is about. The whole like she doesn't understand what Kylo is. She doesn't even know what Luke is. She just assumes things that aren't explained, or she doesn't know what her parents are because they're nothing. Because again, she doesn't know. So all of that would make sense, and that would be a great Star Wars theory. And this is Elliot Hartsaw signing off on this movie review, and it's been a long review, but it needs to come to an end. So please like, subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.